So the Olympics got off to a bit of a rocky start with the mockery of the Last Supper in the opening parade over the weekend. Olympic organizers have apologized, but the damage was already done, as many Christians around the world objected to. I didn't watch it, so I can't honestly say that I saw it. And I haven't gone back to watch it either. I don't want to see it, just based on what I've read about it. There is a positive story circulating, though. Already a superstar in her home country of Brazil, 16-year-old Ryssa Lea suddenly has more than 2 billion new fans. During Sunday's street skateboarding final in Paris, the teenage star defied official guidelines and helped alter the tone of what some believed was a blasphemous Olympic Games opening. She delivered a courageous message in sign language. How unique, how creative. She signed as the cameras approached her, and she was very savvy in doing this. She waited till the cameras were on her when she signed, "Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life." Better yet, again, she didn't conceal her intentions. She did it just at the right moment, when the cameras were on her, focused on her. I mean, this is amazing. This young lady is a rock star for Christians now. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Under IOC Athletes Commission Rule 50, they're told no kind of demonstration or political, religious, or racial propaganda is permitted in any Olympic sites, venues, or other areas. Now, what did they call the parade that has started all of the debate about the opening ceremonies? Did they not think that was a demonstration of political, religious, or racial propaganda? From the Western Journal, they write, should more Christian Olympians speak out? Apparently, the IOC does not regard men in drag reenacting the Last Supper as political or religious propaganda. During Friday's ghastly opening ceremonies, Christians watched in outrage as woke degenerates showcased their sexual fetishes while mocking Jesus Christ and his apostles. Olympic officials have since made the situation worse by issuing a "I'm sorry you were offended" statement, the Western Journal writes. Christianity ranks as the world's largest faith tradition with more than 2 billion followers worldwide. The Western Journal says, surely no other community of that size would tolerate such provocation as they endured on Friday. Again, I didn't see it. I don't intend to go back and watch it. But from what I read, it was horrible. At minimum, France's demonic Olympic display raised legitimate questions about how Christians can best fight back. And look, I think this young lady had the right idea. She silently, she didn't say a word, but she signed a message that Christians can hold dear. And we need to support this type of young lady. We need to make her a rock star for sure. Former President Trump spoke out yesterday. He had been silent up to this point about the 2024 Paris Olympic Games and the opening ceremony, which has created quite the stir, particularly among the Christian community. The president talked about the scene which depicted dancers in drag surrounding a table that Christians interpreted to mean that it was the Last Supper. The organizer claims that it wasn't the Last Supper. The French Bishops' Conference said the ceremony included scenes of mockery and derision of Christianity. Up until yesterday, Donald Trump had been silent. He had this to say about the parade.
Have you watched any of the Olympics?
I thought that the opening ceremony was a disgrace, actually. I thought it was a disgrace.
The mocking of the Last Supper.
I thought it was
Catholics and Christians across the globe are outraged.
I mean, they can do certain things. I thought it was terrible.
Can you say at the next Olympics, if you're present, you'll have enough influence on the organizers that we won't be, insulting Christians?
We won't be having a Last Supper as portrayed the way they portrayed it the other night. I just think, look, I'm for everybody. I'm very open-minded. You understand.
Yeah.
You know me better than most people know me. I'm very open-minded. But I thought what they did was a disgrace.
House Speaker Mike Johnson also condemned the scene in a post on X, saying, "Last night's mockery of the Last Supper was shocking and insulting to Christian people around the world who watched the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. The war on our faith and traditional values knows no bounds today, but we know that truth and virtues will always prevail." Now again, Thomas Jolly, the director of the opening ceremony, claims it was all a misunderstanding. He has apologized. Over the weekend, he said that this was not the Last Supper. He said the Last Supper was not his inspiration for this. He cited some Greek god, and he said that it's the god of celebration in Greek mythology. He went on to say the god of wine is one of the jewels of France, and the father of Sequana, the goddess who is connected to the river, the Seine. The idea was to have a pagan celebration connected to the gods of Olympus. "You will never find me in a desire to mock and denigrate anyone," he said. "I wanted to make a ceremony that repairs, that reconciles, and also that reaffirms the values of our republic, liberty, equality, fraternity." Again, he claims it was not intended to mock the Last Supper. He certainly did a good job of it, though, didn't he? Let's go straight to the phones to Charlotte, North Carolina. Eve, welcome, Eve. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I don't buy that. What's that?
I said I appreciate your phone call.
Sure thing. Yeah, I don't buy that apology about these Greek gods of wine and everything. I mean, France is steeped in Catholicism and Christianity. You have cathedrals like Montmartre and Saint Marcel and Notre Dame, and I mean, it's like they invented this. Whatever I'm encouraged that they finally apologized. I'm surprised they did, but they're not fooling anyone.
Yeah, Eve, what I would say about that, let's just take them at their word, and let's assume that this wasn't intended to represent the Last Supper. Don't you think, though, that they should have thought about that? I mean, this was a worldwide outcry. Anyone who saw it, and again, I didn't watch it. I only heard about it after the fact and started reading about it, and I still haven't watched it. I don't want to see it. But evidently, it looked so much like the Last Supper. They should have thought about the optics of this, shouldn't they? They should have thought about what people sitting in their homes would think when they saw this, right?
Yeah, well, I think they intentionally wanted to mock the Last Supper by changing it slightly and being able to come up with this explanation that it was for the Greek gods of wine, who have nothing to do with the history of France. I mean, maybe if this was in Athens, you could get away with it, but, France is the host country, and it is. You can't throw a stone without hitting a cathedral or church or something that symbolizes Catholicism and history of. I just think that's a lame excuse, and they tried to walk that fine line. But I think the people who created this were intentionally mocking Catholicism.
I think the damage was done, and kudos to this young Olympian who used sign language to talk about her faith. Did you see that story?
I did.
Yeah.
It's like I sort of. I'm kind of soured on the Olympics, to be quite honest. It's just I'm not looking at it like I did. I'm not as excited about it as I usually would be. It's kind of like Bud Light.
Well, I think that's probably what a lot of Christians around the world are thinking, is they tuned it off and don't intend to rejoin. So and it's bad for the Olympics. I'm sad for all these young people who have worked hard to make it to the Olympics, for it to have this type of stain. That's the reason organizers of these types of events should go out of their way. They should think these things through so that there's nothing, absolutely nothing, that could be interpreted as being something like the Last Supper that would offend a large group of the world, the Christian community.
Yeah, it's amazing that these people are in positions for marketing and promoting, and they make these quote-unquote mistakes.
Yep.
I think they're trying to get away with as much as possible to thumb their noses, stick their fingers at people who are religious and traditional, and just try to not get caught or get called out, and that's promoted, unfortunately.
Yep. Appreciate your phone call, Eve. Thank you for listening. 800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453.